Hey, hey, hey. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Black Mind Garden, where we are remapping minds so you can create a life you design. And woo, you all, I have been waiting for this moment for all of my life.
Not all of your life.
I am so excited for this conversation today. So I'm gonna do a mini introduction, and then I'm gonna let this queen introduce herself. I see. There we go. Introduce herself. Dr. Una. Dr. Una, I have been a fan of Dr. Una. We are having some already. Okay. We are so we were having a little technical difficulty, but that is okay, y'all. Okay. I have been a fan of Dr. Una for years and years and years and years and years. And we live here in Atlanta together, and we've connected a few times, and I finally had an opportunity to be able to be on the interwebs with her. She is a virtual mentor of mine, but she is also the owner of EntreMD, and she is all about helping physicians build profitable businesses so they can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. She is empowering physicians with the knowledge and skills necessary to thrive, whether they are in private practice or whether they are in a job or wherever they are. And so today we are talking about this, and we're talking about the fact that we need to start with the fact that we are all entrepreneurs. So with that, let me welcome Dr. Una to the show. Hey.
Hi, Dr. Claiborne. It is so good to be here. I've been waiting for this for since whenever we scheduled it. So I'm so excited to be here. So excited.
So excited, and thank you so much for coming on and spending your time with me. So I always like to start with, I've seen many people who are on the live, they're our mutuals, but for the audience who doesn't know, tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about how you came to be where you are.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Neka Una Chukwu, and people call me Dr. Una for obvious reasons. Even my sister calls me Dr. Una. But I'm a pediatrician by training, and if you want to take this story up, kind of in the middle of my journey, 2016, I was in this really good place. We had a private practice. Private practice was doing really well. I had a doctor who worked every Friday, so I had a long weekend every weekend, and everything was good. But I just had this knowing that everything was about to change for physicians. And I kind of explain it. So I guess I'll call it intuition. And it's like a time is coming where if all you know how to do is doctoring, like so the technical aspect of what you do, you're going to be out of luck. There's a whole paradigm shift here happening. And this was 7 years ago. Like now it makes sense, but then it didn't make sense at all.
Right.
And so I remember, thinking, okay, and to put it in perspective, I was a super shy, socially awkward, introvert. And I was just good at what I was good at.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship was not something I thought of. Speaking was definitely not something I thought I would never be on this interview with you. And so, but I had to think, it jolted me so much that I was like, okay, I guess I could be a speaker. People make money doing that. I
Mhm.
guess I could be a consultant to show other people how to start private practices since
Mhm.
I've done that really well.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe I could be an author. And these are all things that were out of the realm of possibility for me at the
Right.
time.
Right.
But I'm so grateful that I did start exploring that. I didn't even know coaching was a thing, right? Like, so
Mhm.
somebody said, I saw this speakers mastermind, and I was like, oh, I was thinking of speaker, but I should check that out.
Yeah.
And so they had an event. I went for the event. It was amazing.
Mhm.
They had us do these mini talks. It was so nerve wracking, but I
Mhm.
did it. And they said, okay, now the event is over, but you could come work with us in our mastermind. I was like, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe I will do that. And
Yeah.
then they said, and said masterminds for 10 months and it's 43 grand. I'm like, well, hang on. 43 what? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I went to medical school in Nigeria, right? So it didn't cost me 43 grand to go to medical school. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I'm like,
Mhm.
what in the world? But I had to ask myself, I'm like, well, you have to do something different.
Mhm.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
You know that you've been changed in these last 3 days. So what's the problem?
Mhm.
And, I talked with my husband. I gulped really, really loud. And then I said yes. And we still joke about it. That's the best 43 grand we've ever spent because it opened up this whole thing of you're not just a doctor. There's so many other things you can do. There's so many other ways you can help people.
Mhm.
That you have this opportunity to give yourself full expression.
That's
And
right.
so exploring that over the last 7 years has led to multiple best-selling books. The EntreMD podcast, which is like a top 1% podcast, is led to the EntreMD Business School, is led
Mhm.
to being on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies. But
Mhm.
most importantly, it has led to thousands and thousands of physicians who have now embraced entrepreneurship, who are building really successful businesses, who have reclaimed their autonomy, their freedom, and are giving themselves full expression, like they're becoming all of
Yeah.
them, right? And so
Yes.
it's just magical, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And by the way, happy 4th birthday to the EntreMD podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
exciting.
I've been waiting to say that all day. Yes, it is magical. And one of the things I love about you is this is very mission focused, right? A lot of times, there's this focus towards making the money. But when you focus on the mission, that comes through in your speaking, it comes through in your being. And I just think that is so beautiful. And so, I want to before we jump into it, I want the people who are listening who may not be physicians to really get into this conversation with us, because it's all a metaphor for how we do life, how we do our vision, how we do our dreams. We are all entrepreneurs.
We
Let's
all are.
start with that. Let's start with that shift. So when the physicians are considering, when they're first in the EntreMD Business School, that's where they start. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that mind shift.
I think it's, for me, and,
Mhm,
of course I'm biased, right? But this is for every physician,
mhm,
it doesn't matter what you do. I
mhm.
want us to understand that what we do, no matter how specialized it is, that is our work as technicians, right?
Yes.
What we do to take care of patients, that is technician work. And
Mhm,
technician work does not create freedom. There's a different mindset that creates freedom, that creates autonomy, that gives you choices, and it's a mindset, right?
mhm.
And that mindset is, I work for a company called
Mhm.
Me Incorporated. It
That's right.
doesn't matter what you do, right? And so if you're employed, what that means is you have a company, it's called Dr. You Incorporated. You're the CEO, and you
Mhm.
spend 8 hours of your time serving that your client, which is your employer,
That's right.
right? And even thinking that way for someone that is employed, it helps you show up differently. It helps you
Mhm.
affect the bottom line differently. It helps you negotiate better because you understand it like a business person,
That's
right?
right.
You can negotiate better and you're in control. So if somebody says, I don't want to be your client anymore, there are a gazillion clients. You know how to
Mm.
pitch yourself to those clients. You know how to, I mean, like, you know how to get raises because you
Yeah,
understand the bottom line. I'm going to do this. This is going to affect your bottom line this way, and I want to be paid this.
right.
I have a doctor in the EntreMD Business School who is employed, 100% employed, loves her job, never wants to leave. And we're not about doctors leaving. We're about doctors embracing, like stacking on something else, right?
Mhm.
And she told me at our vision retreat, she said, Dr. Una, I have made the most money I have ever made as an employed physician in my entire life. And at
Mhm.
the end of this year, I would have taken a total of 12 weeks off. Now,
Wow.
if that's not the dream, I don't know what is. And that is
Right.
because she understands that she's an entrepreneur. She understands how to say, I am going to take 12 weeks off. And it's actually better for you that I take 12 weeks off. And this
Mhm.
is how I'm going to affect the bottom line. And these are my numbers. These, like, it's magical. That's as an
Yeah.
we're not even talking about someone who owns a brick and mortar, right?
Right.
So it's a concept of I work for me, I'm in
Mhm.
charge, I'm in control, I understand how to create value, I understand how to create revenue, I
Mhm.
understand how to build a team. This is for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So if the employed person is an entrepreneur, then you have a private practice, of course you're an entrepreneur. And sometimes people will tell me, well, I don't want to be a business person.
Mhm.
Business destroyed medicine. And I'm like, no, business did not destroy medicine.
Right.
Business done by people who put profits before people destroyed medicine.
Thank you.
We as physicians, we know how to put people before profits. So imagine, because you have to have the people and the profit, right? You can't
Mhm.
serve the people if you don't know how to generate a profit. So imagine if we who understand almost naturally how to be ethical entrepreneurs, if
Mhm.
we embrace entrepreneurship, what is that like? Right? And so
Yes.
this is something for all of us to embrace. Business is not a bad thing. Business is neutral. If bad people do business, is bad. If good people do business, is good.
That's right.
So we need to embrace it and just go like, I'm an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter whether you work a job, you're a private practice owner, you're a
Mhm.
coach. It doesn't matter. You're a speaker. If you embrace it, everything becomes better because businesses do what we as physicians want to do. We want to serve people. We want to
That's right.
help people. Businesses help people in a profitable way. That's it. That's it.
I First of all, I love that you brought the term entrepreneurship up because people will be in practices building a whole business for someone else and say, I'm not an entrepreneur. Right? It's like, what are you doing? And then the other piece is, I think that you pointed to something. Businesses are successful when they have profits. And I think that there's a context out there that profits is bad. And we need to look at where we've collapsed our belief systems, what we've been conditioned to believe. And I think there's some binary thinking in there, like, oh, service or altruism is good, profits is bad. Two things can be true. You can be altruistic and serving, you can be serving and still profitable and be doing good. And that's what you alluded to. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, you're bringing out all the things. You're like, where are the sacred cows? Let's bring them all out and slaughter them, right? Because there is this concept, and when I've thought about it a lot for physicians, like, where did this come from? And this
Hmm.
is where I think it came from. As a physician, I would, I love my job. I get in my car, I
Hmm.
drive down to work, park in the parking garage, stop at
Hmm.
the coffee shop, grab some coffee, go to my office, right? And they're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, Dr. Una, room 1 is ready for you." I go see room 1, then room 2, then I get
Hmm.
my lunch afterwards, see patients for the afternoon, go home. Then this magical thing happens. Money gets paid into my account. So what did I do? I helped people and I
Right,
magically got money.
right.
But if we stop to look at it, that is because they have said, stay in your lane and we'll take care of everything else.
Hmm.
Because what also happens when I'm being cute and seeing patients is that somebody's building referral sources.
Hmm.
Somebody put up a billboard for the office.
Hmm.
Somebody collected copays.
Hmm.
Somebody sent claims to the insurance company. Somebody followed up to collect on what wasn't collected by the insurance company.
Hmm.
All these things were happening to make sure that there were profits while I was helping people.
Right.
So it is a disconnect that we can help people and ignore profits because we cannot. That's why
Yeah.
hospitals are shutting down. That's why private practices are shutting down. Post COVID, we see the number of businesses going out of business because
Hmm.
without a profit, you lose the right to help people.
That's right.
You might say, what of the nonprofit? The nonprofit, they create revenue in a different way. They ask
Yes.
other people for it.
Yes.
That's how it happens. So
That's how it
there
happens.
is no way to help people, especially at scale, without figuring out money. So
That's right.
we have these great dreams of these great transformations we want to bring in our society. We cannot do it till we figure out money. So the
Hmm.
sooner we do it, the better.
Yes. It's interesting because as you talk about this and you said a particular thing, we've been told to stay in our lane. And that conditioning started very early. That conditioning started way back in medical school. And for some people, it started even earlier than that. For some people, it started in childhood. It started when their parents said stay in their lane. But let's just bring it to the medical industry. Let's just keep it there. From medical school, there's this conditioning around staying in your lane. And there's this conditioning around the altruism and disconnecting this whole profitability from the service. And I think what happens is that then we oh, and by the way, there's also this sort of poverty condition in medical school because you have to take out a gazillion $1 million worth of loans and live off those loans, and then you go to residency and you're paid less than minimum wage to work 1,000 hours. And I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's not totally an exaggeration. So then we get into this sort of scarcity and poverty mindset, and we're doing service. So then we connect the two. Meanwhile, we did exactly what you just said, disconnect the profits from the service. And then you go into medicine and now you have this mindset like, oh, I can't be profitable because I'm helping people, or the profits are bad. And so I just love that you named that, because this is the first thing that we have to begin to dismantle. You have to recognize the conditioning before you can dismantle the conditioning. And you have to recognize that as conditioning. Like, it's not, we have these thoughts and we think they're true. And I literally just had a conversation about this, but we have to question where our beliefs come from, and then understand where they come from, and then begin to dismantle those so that we can be successful and enter our businesses with power.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, it is up to us, and I understand it because, this has gone on for a really long time, it's very prevalent, and
Mhm.
and of course, if I there are certain places, as if I show up and I'm like, "My business is doing really well," I mean, I'll be dragged, like, you know how this works, right?
Mhm.
And so we almost wear it like a badge of honor. I
Yeah.
hear people say, "I'm just a lowly pediatrician." I was like, "You will
Mm.
never hear that come out of my mouth."
Right.
Never, right? I did
Right.
not go to medical school and do residency and practice for a gazillion years to label myself as a lowly anything.
That's
There's
right.
not I wasn't even lowly before I got into med school,
That's
but
right.
that's besides the point. Okay, so but we really want to, like you said, question everything. Like, literally, I started here. Hold up a dollar bill. Is it good or bad?
Mm.
It is. It's not good. It's
That's
not
right.
bad. Like, when you say money is bad, like, hold it up. It
Mhm.
is it is mercury paper with dead men's faces on it. It's a piece of paper,
Yeah.
right? So everything we think about it is a story that we either got from ourselves, our upbringing, what somebody
Mhm.
else. It's a story, right? If you're in a position where, I mean, think about this time of the year, you're in a position where you had $1 million to give away. I mean, Oprah does this all the time, right? She
Mhm.
throws, and people are like, "Oh, she gave someone a car. She did this. She did." It costs money to do those things, and that is not bad. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so when we say
Yeah.
money is bad, what do we mean? It's a piece of paper.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we all have to be clear. Like, until we figure out the money thing, we don't have freedom to do much else.
That's right.
There are many jobs that we would accept, and there are many ways we'll be treated, and we accept them. And the primary reason is because we don't have financial options.
Mhm.
Freedom starts with financial freedom.
That's right.
Now, is money everything? This, I heard someone say this. I don't know who it is. I'd give him credit. Is money everything? No, but it's right there, right up there, right next to oxygen, because think about it. If somebody has, they understand I have the power to create revenue. I have the power
Mhm.
to create this stuff. And somebody says, well, we decide to replace you in your position with somebody else. You probably wouldn't even have a fit. You'd probably be like, I always wanted to travel for 4 months and just go hang out with the kids and stuff. I guess I'll
Mhm.
take this opportunity and do that. Why do you
Mm.
say that? Because you have financial freedom.
That's right.
Why are you completely stressed out because you don't have financial freedom? You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And business for me, I think is one of the greatest vehicles to create that. And as a physician, when they're like, I don't care about the money. Yes, but let's look at the healthcare space. Okay. Will they let you take an MCAT for free? No. Will they let you go to med school for free? No. Will they pay you what you deserve to be paid for the work you do as a resident? No.
No.
Your board exams, will they do that for free? No.
No.
Are the hospitals seeing people for free? No.
Mm-mm.
Is Big Pharma giving away medication for free? No. The hospital administrators, are they working for free? No. Why in the universe is money only bad when I have it?
Mhm.
Why is it only a problem when I earn it? You're fine taking it from me. You're fine
Right.
making it off of me. But if
Mhm.
I want to make some, then it's an issue.
Right.
So I'm not
Right.
I'm not part of that.
I love that. I love it. Dropping gems, Dr. Una, dropping gems as usual. One of the things that you talked about this financial freedom, one of the things that came up for me is in order for us to have financial freedom, we have to be freed from the prisons that we've built around ourselves around money. And so we can be financially free unless we change our relationship with money in general as a community of physicians. And I think you just pointed to that in everything that you just said.
Yeah. And some may say, but it's not all about the money.
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot. And the truth of the matter is you can make it and you can give it away. It's your
Mm-hmm.
choice,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's what gives you options. It's what
Yeah.
gives you freedom. If you gave up 10 years of your life and you gave up, um, like $250,000 in school loans,
Mm-hmm.
the least you can do is get a return on your investment, you know? It's the least you can do.
Yeah.
And even more importantly, especially if you own, like, so for instance, you own a business, you own a private practice, something like that, your team is depending on you to build your business profitably.
That's right.
Your community, they kind of need the taxes. They're waiting on you to build profitably, right? Your
Yeah.
patients want to be served by somebody just like you. But
Mm-hmm.
what gives you the freedom to do that is you figured out the money, right?
Yeah.
And so when we win financially, so many other people win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, the bottom line is money is a resource. And seeing ourselves as entrepreneurs and really understanding that is really seeing ourselves as creators. We have the power to create businesses that serve and create the money as a resource to then live the kinds of life that we want. What sticks out for me is one of your podcast episodes, and you'll know which number is, I bet, with Dr. Catherine Tumor Harmon.
Yeah.
Harmon Tumor, Tumor Harmon. I always get the which goes first mixed up. But Dr. Catherine Tumor, and who also happens to be one of my former students of the NLP training. And she talks about how within your program, she's built her business to the point where it operates without her. And she's been able to build it so that she can live the lifestyle she wants, spend time with her family, spend time with her sister, her mother, her children, and I think that's brilliant. Making the money, she's been able to create the lifestyle that allows her to do the things that are important to her.
Yeah. And
And
that's
she
what freedom is all about.
Yes, yes. And then she still gets to serve and help the people that need her. So again, it's that whole two things can be true, that dialectical thinking.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that in the way I think about entrepreneurship, I'm really big on us getting to a point where we can build assets. And really,
Mhm.
this came about because many years ago, I should probably check how many years ago that was. There was a doctor, a pediatrician. She had been in practice for 20 something odd years, and she wanted to sell her practice.
Mhm.
But her practice had been built as her job. right? So there are no other doctors working there. They're still on paper charts. They didn't, like there are no systems in place. So there was nothing to buy. You know what I mean? Like she
Mm.
had her job for over 20 years, but it
Yeah.
wasn't an asset. It couldn't run without her. There was no evidence that people will stay without her. And
Yeah.
I remember, her broker approaching me. We took a look at it. I was like, this is not there. I can't work with this.
Mhm.
Because this will be like buying it and then building a practice from scratch.
Mhm.
And she tried to sell it to other, she tried to sell it for as low as $40,000. Nobody would
Wow.
buy it. And so eventually she had to shut it down. And it's expensive to shut practices down, right? You still have to store the charts and do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And after that, I made a mental note, right? I was like, I need to build something that is an asset, meaning that I will leverage systems. Like,
Mhm.
because the shift that happens when we start thinking like entrepreneurs is we recognize we are entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
And if you think of someone who's an entrepreneur, yes, they have the vision. Yes, they have a team they get results through. They have
Mhm.
systems in place. They have processes in place. And
Mhm.
so if they walked away from their business for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, it could still work without them,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, we are all going to exit our businesses. Is either you die and you exit it, you
Mhm.
hand it off to a family member, or you sell it, right?
Mhm.
Either way, you have to plan for said exit because it is going to happen, right?
Mhm.
But the starting point, if you think about your business as a job, like it's just something I do and it brings in revenue, you will not think of building an asset.
That's
You'll be
right.
like, oh, I can be just fine without a team. Oh, who needs processes? Like I can do it. Nobody can do it like me. Like we only tolerate all of those when we own a job and it's
Mm.
bringing in money. So we're good.
Yep.
When you think about building an asset, then you're building something that ultimately you have options to walk away from it the way you want to. And if you
Mhm.
want to sell it and make multiples and do all of that, you can as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch this though. You were talking about earlier whether you're employed or not. So think about it the same way. You're employed, you have a mindset of an entrepreneur, you're building an asset. How do you go about doing that as an employed person? You can still do that. I'd love to hear your perspective. Like, as an employed person, you're still thinking like an entrepreneur, you're still building an asset. So then, if you decide you want to walk away and take a sabbatical or something of that, we know a physician is doing that right now because she has built assets as an intrapreneur, and she also happens to be also an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. So talk about that, because I think that right there, we got to get to those people who are like, but I'm employed. I mean, I get the entrepreneur mindset, but how do I build an asset as an employed person?
So the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is you have choices. You get
Mm-hmm.
to pick what it is that you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no prescribed way.
That's right.
However, when we understand, like when I understand as an employed person, I
Mm-hmm.
am also an entrepreneur. I've embraced this mindset. It means as the employed person, you can take care of yourself. Like I said earlier, you can negotiate, you can do all of those other things in the
Mm-hmm.
context of your job.
Mm-hmm.
But then your primary asset, as we look at assets, is your personal brand. And we
Mm-hmm.
all have personal brands. They're
Yes.
either undeveloped, um, accidental, or intentionally built, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
intentionally built because with your personal brand, you open any door you want. You may decide, I like to speak. I have clients in the EntreMD Business School. They speak, and $10,000 is their floor. They're not
Mm-hmm.
coming out. They're not getting out of bed on your stage show anything less than 10 grand,
Yeah.
right? Now imagine doing 10 of those a year, which is less than one a month. You're already at six figures.
Mm-hmm.
And you did that from your personal brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some other people decide, well, I've done this thing for so long. I had a client, she worked in the emergency department, and she had helped their emergency department get these turnaround times that were like the envy of the company, like right, like the and she helped them with facilitating and onboarding with their EHR. And she said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't want to do bedside anymore. I'm turning 60 or so. And we said, okay, well, you have this skill. and you can become a consultant. You have this skill, you can get in the C-suite of the EHR company and all of those
Mhm.
things. And that is exactly what she did. And so when
Yes.
Oracle has conferences, that's where she is now, flying all over the country, speaking on stages, doing all of that because
Mhm.
she built her personal, like the starting point is that personal brand.
Mhm.
You can decide you want to be an author. You can decide that you want to start your private practice. And it's funny, we have a lot of people who start as employed physicians and they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, I just want to build my brand. I'm like, let's do it. And they're like, I want to start a private practice. I'm like, you've been here a year, you know how it's done.
Right?
And these are the people, I have one of them. Her story is so phenomenal. She started her private practice. She built her brand the first year. That's what she was doing. She used it to, I mean, she used it to open so many doors, speaking opportunities, known as the authority in her community, all of that. And after the first year, she was like, you know what? I want to start my practice. In 6 weeks, she had to hire a nurse practitioner
Wow.
in 6 weeks. And
Wow.
it's not because of what she did in the 6 weeks, right? It's
Mhm.
because she paid attention to her personal brand and she was building a personal brand.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
it's that understanding my brand is an asset. Some people, they want to go on and start podcasts, and these are
Mhm.
podcasts that are monetized, right? And you
Mhm.
can really, really monetize. You can really, really monetize a podcast, right? And
Mhm.
that's their thing. And there's so many models. Like we can spend a whole podcast episodes talking about them, but the
Mhm.
starting point is I build my personal brand, which
Yes.
means I'm going to show up in places, I'm going to network, I'm going to have a social media presence, I could even do podcast interviews. You understand my job is to build a reputation, to be
Yeah.
known for something.
I love that. And one of the other things that I love that kind of showed up in what you were saying is you have an expertise. People don't think that they already, like, if you've been working for a physician for, God, how many years, or any other profession for that matter, consider that you are an expert in that thing. And so, what are you an expert at, and how can you then take that expertise and put it in another context for an exchange? And so that's sort of like one of the things that was sort of the background of what you were talking about. And also in that you're building that personal brand. I love it. But we could have, I don't even want to end this conversation. We could go on for hours and just go down so many different pathways and rabbit holes.
And we
and,
could.
and we could. However, we both have big lives to lead, and so I first of all, I just want to thank you for the difference that you're making. I want to thank you for who you are, both as a physician out there who is transforming communities of physicians, and also for being a mentor and a friend.
You
Yeah.
try to get me to cry on live, IG live. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
Really, really. And so, and by the way, I'll be seeing you soon in the EBS, in the Entrepreneurship Business School.
I'll save you a spot. It has your name on it.
Look, I've been having the FOMO for a while. And by the way, this is important because I really want, especially physicians who already may be entrepreneurs, already have businesses, even successful businesses, to get. This is what I love about Dr. Una's EntreMD school is wherever you are in your business, there's a community for you to up level. And that's where it's at right there. That's where it's at. So I want to give you an opportunity to give our audience all of the ways or the most preferred ways that they can follow, connect, all of the things with you.
Yeah, so this is what I'll say. I'll say a few things. But the first thing is this. Many years ago, 7 years ago, I was in this valley of decision. Like this is an
Mhm.
opportunity to make a decision that will
Mhm.
change my life. And with everyone that I've worked with, supported, and all of that, what I have noticed is the people who make decisions and act on those decisions get the biggest results,
That's right.
period. Period. And so if you're like, I hear this and I'm ready to go all in on my business, whether that's you incorporated, whether that's a private practice, you're a coach or whatever,
Mhm.
then I want to give you an opportunity to meet with my team who would work with you and assess your business and show you like, okay, this is your best next step. So if you go
Mhm.
to entremd.com/call, then you can meet with them and you can work that out. Okay. So these are for my gong ho, like I'm ready. Like, stop talking. Let's do this. Where do I go? Right? entremd.com/call. Now, other than that, I just want to throw out the what we do in EntreMD. So we have three
Please.
MBAs for physicians, okay? Because I that was my thing. I didn't go to business school. It doesn't matter anymore. EntreMD exists now. It doesn't matter. Okay.
That's right.
So your free MBA would be the EntreMD podcast. All right. So just head over there, entremd.com/podcast. We have, I don't know, 380 episodes of pure yumminess. Like this is all, all business concepts, like, fixing prices, doing all the things, right?
Mhm.
Taking it to seven figures. I share all my stuff, the mistakes I made on my way to seven figures. Everything is just pure gold. So that's your first MBA.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Let me just put a hands up to that one, because go listen to the EntreMD podcast. By the way, everything that she mentions today, we're going to have links in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll put it in the description. We're going to have links everywhere. So
Thank you. Thank you.
continue.
Okay. Now, the second MBA is the EntreMD Method book. Okay. So we
Mhm.
call that the $16 MBA. Okay. The first one is free, the second one is $16. Okay. And that is really where we talk about this concept of making that paradigm shift from physician to physician entrepreneur. We talk
Mhm.
about the stages, the doctor, the business, the empire. We talk about building that personal brand. We talk about all those things, right? And so, really powerful, really easy read, but very impactful. Okay. 16
Yes.
bucks. Nowhere else you get an MBA
That's
for
right.
16 bucks.
That's right.
Okay. And then the third MBA is really the EntreMD Business School, which is our year-long program. Again, and really it has produced, results will vary, right? But it has produced people who have had results as crazy as I just mentioned, somebody needing to hire a new nurse practitioner 6 weeks after starting, or
Mhm.
people starting and crossing the seven-figure mark in 1 year. Like that is nuts. And this person is female, right?
Mhm.
2% of females cross the seven-figure mark in their
Mhm.
business, period. 2%. And you
Mhm.
get to have classmates just like them. And it's not one person, they're multiple,
Mhm.
right? And so um for that, entremd.com/call. If you're like, yep, I want to spend a year with Dr. Una and her crazy friends in the EntreMD Business School, come join us. We do wild things there and it's so fun. But whatever you do, don't do nothing. I guess that's my point. Don't whatever Nothing will make sure that everything stays the same, which
Correct.
means you're getting worse because your colleagues, everybody, they're getting better, right?
Correct.
So staying the same is getting worse. Like, don't not do anything.
Correct.
That's what I'll leave you with. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, the EntreMD Business School, it's cheaper than any MBA that you would ever find anyway. And gives you more practical application.
You want to hear something funny? I remember going to look up, I think this was Harvard Business School. And please, I hope nobody thinks I'm dissing hard because I would not. Okay. I have nothing but respect for them. But they say, well, on average, the people who attend here, they end up with salaries at, I don't know, 160,000 and all of that stuff. And this is the MBA world. I'm not picking on Harvard. So the MBA world is promising you a six-figure, maybe multiple six-figure salary. That's what the outcome is. We have no
Mhm.
interest in that. You can do that. You can do twice that without our help. What
Mhm.
we help people do is we help them build businesses. We help them build businesses that are profitable. Then we help them build businesses that are assets that they can exit. This
Correct.
is very different from a traditional MBA, right?
Mhm.
And so not only are you getting it for the fraction of the investment for an MBA, but you get so much more
Correct.
out of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, oh my gosh, this has been, such an amazing conversation, such a joy to be able to have this conversation like on the live screen. We've had conversations, and it's funny because we were at breakfast a few weeks ago. We're like, this is the whole podcast,
Yep.
and so it's just a pleasure to be able to really have this dialogue with you. And I hope we can do it again. We've got so many things that we could talk about. And of course, I love to amplify you. You know that. And so just thank you so much again. We're going to have all of the links. Go check out the EntreMD podcast, get the EntreMD method book, go to entremd.com/call, get a call with Dr. Una and her team, because Dr. Una, she be doing other things.
Well, my team is amazing. I can tell you that. They will
They
take great care of you.
They definitely are. And of course, I want you all to share this episode, because in order to make waves, tidal waves, and make true change, we have to get the word out, right? We have to get the word out. And the only way we do that is to share, and write a review so the people coming behind us know that this is the episode to listen to. So share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, share it with a family member. I don't care. Just share it with someone who's a physician, who knows a physician, and who knows the physician needs this work. All right. And, I always like to thank my audience, because, of course, without the audience, there is no podcast. And y'all already know how to reach me if you want to know a little bit more about the communication stuff that I do. You know how to reach me. So with that, you all have an amazing rest of the day and an amazing rest of the week. And as usual, stay empowered.